I did all the cleaning up of all the wiring from the people who did the install for all the LEDs on this bike. I didn't show that just because it really wasn't that interesting. All I did was clip about 1,000 zip ties and rerouted cabling the way it should be. I ran it down the actual channel where there's wiring down to this side. Basically what you have now, 4 connectors, one for each light on the tank. The tank has 2 LED strips on it, and then this connector and this connector is for each saddlebag. This is about the best I could clean this up without cutting and doing different wires, so I wasn't too worried about it. But earlier I told you my biggest pet peeve were the wire ties that people leave long, and when you cut them, it leaves a nub that's like a razor blade, and it'll slice you. Well, if you get a pair of wire cutters, something like this, now these happen to be snap-ons, but you can buy some that are not snap-ons that work just as well. They're a flush cut right here, and what that'll do is when you go to cut your wire tie, like this one right here, and you snip it, of course with the flat side down, it cuts this very smooth, and there's no chance of you know, cutting an artery and, you know, bleeding out before the ambulance gets here. But I went through and snipped a bunch of those that were left and by the previous installer, and then of course all mine that I do are cut with that, so we're good. We'll take strip, about 3/4 of an inch or so, half an inch off of that. Same with this one, which is your amp remote turn on. We'll give it just a little bit more meat there. Put my heat shrink on there. Grab that. Twist it. Very, very thin solder. I like the thin solder, especially doing small wires. Tin it. Heat it up from the back side and let it flow through. That way you know it's pulling it all the way through, and you know your wire's hot enough. You're good. Alright. If this amp ever needs to come out of this bike and be put somewhere else because it's attached to a plug, now I have at least the length of wire that it came with. Where this comes out, how much room do I have up in there to be able to store wire? I buy these in bulk this way. If you need them, if you don't have these but you have a butt connector, all you have to do is push the inside of it out. It's this. But what we'll do is get this wire compact enough, get it on there, I do crimp it. Just a little bit. Just enough to kind of hold it on there. I'll do it to both of them. You know what I didn't do, people? I didn't put heat shrink. Another rookie mistake. So guess what? I'm doing this again. Alright, here we go. That's gonna get cut off. That's gonna get cut off. Heat shrink. Let's do this again. This up here, and let's heat it up. Yes, solder will flow uphill. It actually draws it in. You can actually use the little hole here to fill it up as well. It's not what that hole's for, but it works. Let it cool. Don't try to put your heat shrink on it right now. You'll just melt your heat shrink. Let's do the other one. All right. Power, ground, remote, all connected. I put a speaker back in it and plug it up. We should have sound. All right, that's in, that's in. Where's the antenna for the FM? And that's what we're gonna put in. Let's get the battery put in it. That's all plugged back in. Let me get the tank plugged back in. Tank's on. I guess let's see what happens. Nothing. have anything. Do I have something unplugged that shouldn't be unplugged? Okay, I think I found the problem. When I was test fitting, I unplugged a major plug that goes to the front, and I'll be willing to bet you dollars to donuts this does all the ignition. So when I unplugged it, it goes right there. I unplugged it to make room to test fit. There we go. Now let's see what happens when I turn the key now. So I thought, that's there. We're plugged in, battery's hooked up. Did I do something else? Ah. When I was messing with the alarm, I pulled the main fuse. That one. So let me just reach down here, plug that little dude back in. Alright, try it again. Look at there. The Harley logo came up on the screen. It is very possible this thing may not play because there's some sort of a flash to the radio that Harley has to do if it doesn't work. Hey. We're going to try something here. I'm tuning the amp. Not totally crazy about the way the speakers sound, and I'm thinking it's probably the speaker box that this thing sits in. It has a vibration to it. I have to tune so much of the low end out of the speakers that it just sounds like a treble rebel. It's just all highs. So we're going to do something a little different. Now, of course, you know, plastic box, you can only ask for so much, but there's actually no seal that goes around this, and then there's a drain. I mean, you gotta remember this fits back together like so, and I've taken it apart, but there's a drain right here, so I know water can get into this. Well, I'm going to run a seal. Yeah, I should use silicone, but I'm not going to, because if this doesn't work, I don't want to mess. So I'm going to use some foam, and then I'm going to put some polyfill in this once it's back together to try to deaden this plastic sound, this tinny sound I get out of this plastic. So we're going to try that, see what happens. Said this is just a proof of concept at the moment. And ta-da, polyfill. Just take a little bit, unfluff it. Want small pieces to put down in some of these smaller areas. You don't want to just absolutely stuff this in there. But you do want to change the sound waves, which is my goal. See what happens. Let's see if that made any difference in this. For copyright issues, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, we're back. It's the next morning. I had a couple of these screws strip out. These plastic screws, the plastic stripped out. So, what I'm going to do, this is ABS plastic. The best way to repair ABS plastic is with ABS plastic. So I found an old speaker plate, 4x6 speaker plate here. I'm going to cut some of these little pieces out of it. I'm going to put it down in here and attempt to melt it into place. I may screw it up even more, who knows. Pair of snips. I'm going to cut some of the thinner stuff out of here. Alright, what I'm going to do is I need to try to prop this up somehow. Take this, and we'll cut it into strips that'll fit down inside of that. Like so. Alright, just going to push that down in there. First, I'm just going to start off by heating that plastic up a little bit. Yes, ABS will burn. It would be better to do this with a hot air torch. I don't have one. I'm going to heat up my pick. Alright, let that cool while we do the other side. Alright, let's do this again. thing about ABS is it cools pretty quick. I may want to drill this out. Let me do that. There. Hopefully it'll give me a clean hole to start. That one seemed to work. Hopefully we got it. We'll start with these. Okay, I did get these all back in. They are tight, so I was able to fix those threads. Hopefully that's a good tip for somebody. I know this probably isn't the best way to do it, and people out there are going, no! It's alright, if I break it, I can fix it. I had it. It was working.